Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching, much appreciated. What I like to do with my videos is just give you guys a little bit of info on a basic subject so that just to get you going and hopefully guide you in the right direction, which is the whole point of my channel, and give you some examples and some techniques, etc. So if that sounds good, consider subscribing. I'd appreciate it. And hit the bell icon so that you get notified when I upload a new video. Because my upload schedule is somewhat hectic at this point. I'm hoping to become more consistent with that. Also, if you have anything that you're having trouble with or something that you'd like to see, preferably in the JavaScript uh, front end, PHP for the back end, Node for the back end as well. Also, just basic HTML, CSS, JavaScript stuff. Just drop a comment, let me know, and I will definitely get to that. Also, if you have a comment or a question on this video, then feel free to leave a comment. And if you find this video in any small way helpful, then leave a like or a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Because I feel like that's the best way to learn is just to absorb as much info as you can and then um, start diving in and building projects for yourself. So as you can see today we're going to be talking about conditional rendering in React. So what conditional rendering is basically React creates a virtual DOM uh, and then it re-renders when something changes. So what we're doing is we're rendering the DOM, which is your browser, what you're seeing on the browser. We're rendering the DOM based on a condition, i.e. conditional rendering. So that could be a lot of different things, but I think the basics of what it is it's an if statement. So um, if something is true or if it's false, you're going to see something or you won't see something. Or you can create an event that will change something from visible to invisible. Um, and the if statements are also used, talk about ternary operators a little bit later, which is a sort of, I'll say, better form of if statements, but not to downplay if statements. They're still important and very necessary. So we're going to go over both of those things. So this is the documentation from reactjs.org for conditional rendering. And it gives you some basic examples, but we're not gonna do exactly, because this is not bad, but for a beginner it can kind of be a little confusing. And it's not really, it's sort of a real world example, but not exactly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to VS Code, and what I did is I used Create React App. I actually used Yarn because for some reason sometimes NPX gives me a hassle and I can't get it to work right. So I use Yarn regardless, whichever. I'm on Windows, so that's probably why. And I just cleaned up the files. I deleted a lot of the unnecessary files. So we just have our index.html file. Favicon, of course, that doesn't matter. Our CSS file, I just deleted everything and changed the background color to this dark gray. Our app.js file is bare bones. Uh, and we're going to be doing everything in this app.js file. Normally you don't do that, but for this we're going to be doing that because it's just an example. We're not building a project today per se. I'm just giving you some examples. So we can't, well, not that we can't, but we shouldn't talk about conditional rendering without talking about state. And in conditional rendering, it's usually in a real world application used to manipulate state that's in the functional component. And we're going to be using hooks today. So we're going to be using functional components. And you know what? I changed my mind a little bit. Um, let's see. Test component. And I actually am going to create one. So I'm going to create a folder called component. Okay. And inside that folder, we're going to create a new file called testcomp.js. We're going to bring it in here, import testcomp, and this is the variable down here that you put in your JSS expression from quotes dot slash, which means, I'm sorry, yes, dot slash components, whoops, wow, components, which is the folder we just created, and then slash test comp. You don't have to put the .js on there. It's not necessary. You can if you want, but it's not necessary. Uh, so let's go over here, and now I have two extensions installed that I really suggest you use. One is Prettier, which is a code formatter. So when you save your file, it automatically adjusts all the indentations and everything like that for you. It's really convenient and really nice, and I highly suggest you use that for VS Code, which is what I'm using, by the way. The other one is this ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native snippets. Really, really helpful. It allows you to do things like this that I'm going to show you. So I type RAC, and it gives me this RAFCE, which is a React functional component. And it just sort of gives you the boilerplate for it. And it's really convenient, so you don't have to type out all this and possibly forget stuff or whatever. The other thing we're going to bring in from React is use state, because we're going to be creating a hook using use state, which is a React hook to deal with state, right? Rather than this dot state dot whatever, that's what we're using here. We're using this dot state. Okay, don't worry about this for now. Oh, that's why it's giving me this error. Component, not components. Use state is defined. Okay, never mind. I'm not sure why this is running. I'm going to stop that. So I had it running from before. Anyway, so in our test comp, I'm going to close this app.js for now. So in our test comp, so we have our use state hook. Okay, the way you create a piece of state with use state is we set a variable const, and first we're going to set, let's say is complete. Then we're going to do set is complete. Okay, let me just finish typing this out, then I'll go over what this is. We're going to set it to false by default. Okay, give us some space. So what this is our state. Okay, this is our actual state. This is a function that allows us to change the state. Okay, sort of like this dot set state, except that it's just this. Okay, so if we wanted to change it so by default it's false. So if we wanted to change it again, we would say set, we would call this set is complete, like that, and then we would put true. And just to prove it, console.log is complete. Actually, initially, let me just comment that out so we can see. And we're going to come over here and start our development server, npm start, which is the React default command to start our React app for our development server. It's loading, it's loading. Thank you for your patience. I'm running slow tonight. Okay, so obviously there's nothing in here because we don't have anything in our component, but let's open up the dev tools by right clicking and go to inspect, or Control Shift I for Windows. I don't know what it is for Mac. And you can see here false because it's initially set to false. Now I'll uncomment this. Okay, and because our console.log comes after the set is complete, it should it should give us the updated state. As soon as it finishes compiling, it's taking forever. Let's see. Now we got an error. True. Okay, so it's giving us true. Don't worry about this. It's just, but we've re-rendered it. Too many re-renders. React limits the number of renders to prevent an infinite loop. Don't worry about that. It's supposed to be, this is actually supposed to be inside of a use effect, but we're not going to worry about that now. Okay. So let's see. So let me delete this. Now the first example that we're going to look at is, so let's say, Okay, so first we're going to use a ternary operator, which is a replacement for if statements. Now, I could show you the if statements, but ternary operator is really the sort of gold standard as excuse me, as of now. So might as well just show you that. If statements are fine, but it just works a little bit better with a ternary operator. So we open a JavaScript expression, which is 2 curly braces, and then we're going to do is complete. Whoops, complete. Now, that's our if statement. So instead of if is complete, and then you open your curly braces and then you do your logic in there. Instead of that, right? This is where you do it. So if you were doing is complete equals 0, or what we'll do a little bit in a few minutes is if it's not is complete, which means it's false, which it is, then you would do it like that. Then you simply if it is complete, right? Then we're going to do then, which is represented by a question mark. Then we're going to say, I don't know, we'll just give it a p tag, which for some reason, p tag, there we go. We'll say is complete, or else, I'm sorry, not or, else, we'll say, we'll give it another p tag, and we'll say is not complete, right? So now is complete is false as of right now because we haven't reassigned it yet. But so this is going to be false. So let's see what this gives us. So if is complete is true, then say is complete. If it's not true, else, then we're going to say is not complete. So let's see what that gives us. Now it's not going to be designed in the center and all. So is not complete because it's false. Don't worry about this. In fact, those warnings will go away once it re-renders. Let me just change. Sorry about that. I should have done this ahead of time. Body color white. Oops. Just so you can see it a little bit better. Okay. So is not complete because that's true. Because it's not complete, right? So let's just change it. So if not is complete, which means if it's false, then we'll put is complete. Okay. So this is it, conditional rendering. So it is complete because it's false. So if it's false, then we put it is complete. Else, if it's true, then it is not complete. Okay? And that's conditional rendering. So you're setting up your own conditional logic. And that's really how you do it. And the ternary operator like this is really the way to go. Let's do something else now. So I'm just going to delete this for now. And let's delete this, and we're going to create another piece of state. We're going to say data. We're going to say actually, we don't need this set data, but normally that's where you would put your use state hook. I'm sorry, use state function. So use state in here, and we're going to have an array with an object, and we're going to do some key value pairs. So it's an object. Okay. And let's see. We're gonna do name. Let's say Ted. Yeah, let's do let's do age. We'll say 23. Right? Actually, oops, 23. Sorry, this is an object, so this should be in there by itself, and then we'll give it another, we'll say age again is 45, and we'll say age is 17. Okay, so let's just log that for now and see what that gives us. Hopefully I did it right. So let's console log our data. So that, remember, this is just like this dot set state, except we're using with the use state hooks. Okay, compiling, looks good. And here's our age. Okay, good. Now, so let's say we want to allow someone to click a button, or to be able to click a button. Like, say, if, for example, if this was a cigar site, which I like cigars, if this was a cigar site, if someone was under the age of 21, the smoking age in New Jersey, which actually I think it's 22 now, but whatever, it doesn't matter. If somebody who signed up for an account or entered their age through a form and said, yeah, I'm only 17, we want to deny them access to the website, because we don't want them to shop on the website, because it's it's not for minors. You can only get there if you're a certain age, right? So let's open up another JavaScript expression. Okay, and let's say we're going to say if data dot age is less than or equal to 21. I'm just going to say 21 for the sake. Then do nothing. Else, we're going to show them a button that says enter here. Okay, let's see what that gives us. I think that's correct. I always get messed up with greater than or less than. I was never good at that. All right, so good, and it gives us the button. All right, so let's get rid of all these. So their age is 23. So if their age, if the data.age is, I'm sorry, this should be greater than or equal to 21. No, sorry, is less than or equal to 21. No, actually, it should be less than. If data.age is less than 21, then show them nothing. Else, show them a button that says enter here. Right, good, because it's 23 and they're so they're able to enter. So let's say age is 17. Huh, must be the other way around. Compiling. Thanks for your patience, guys. Thank you for holding. Uh, oh boy. Sorry about this, guys. It's taking forever. Okay, here we are. So it is good. Okay, great. So that's a couple examples of conditional rendering based on your data. Okay, let's try one more. Good. Okay, so they're over 21, so they can enter, so they can click the button, right? Okay. Now I suppose we could get into, uh, hmm, we could add a, let's see, let's add a button. Okay, we'll say click here. And we're going to add an on click event equals curly braces. We're going to add a function and we're going to say, let's say, let's change this to, I don't know, show set show. Okay, and we'll just change this to false by default. Let's say you want it to be hidden by default, right? Just say, okay, oh, let me delete that. Don't need that anymore. So we're going to come down here and we're going to set show here to whatever is not show. So whatever this is not, it's going to set it to the opposite of what it currently is, right? And then, so we'll say, we'll open our JavaScript expression. We'll say if show is true, then we'll give it a, oops, we'll give it a p tag and we'll say hello world, right? Else, uh, we'll say restricted content or whatever. It doesn't really matter. So initially it's false. This will set it to whatever the opposite of it is. Because remember, we're not just setting it to true here, we're setting it to whatever the opposite is so that it goes back and forth. Okay? Because if you set this to true, it'll just continuously set it to true. So we want it to set it to the opposite. So once we set it to true, the opposite of this, then once we click it again, we want it to go back to false, right? So restricted content, hello world, right? Click here, restricted content, hello world, right? So we're clicking. That shouldn't be there anymore. Okay. And I think, I mean, that's the basic brass tacks of conditional rendering. The ternary operator is your friend, and based on your state, or really anything that you can set, information that you get back from Axios, from an API, you know, if the date is equal to this date or before, then show this. If not, then, but this is basically what you're looking for. So your ternary operator is your friend. So you take your state or whatever it is that you're basing it on. Okay. Uh, then, so whatever this is, then do this. Else, if it's not this, then do that. Right? And you can link it to a button or whatever. Listen, guys, I hope this was helpful. Like I said, if you have any questions about this video or anything else, leave a comment in the video, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Usually, it's very quick, within the same day. Um, and if you found the video helpful in any way, then subscribe and click the bell icon so that you get notified when I upload a new video. Um, Thanks, guys. I much appreciate you taking the time to watch. This is Basic Coding with Adam. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.